here on the HPC cluster. If I have a look at the tab that says node management, I can see that my node is okay, it's joined the cluster. And if I have a look at job management, I can now see that more tasks have been allocated, 2 more tasks have been allocated to this node. So in this way, I'm using the virtualized infrastructure in a dynamic manner to process the workload that is critical at this point, adding CPU resources that are available on the virtualized infrastructure to carry out this particular task in a completely dynamic manner. Now, wouldn't it be nice if rather than raising an alert and requiring the administrator intervention, we could automate the whole process so that if CPU resources are available, high-performance computing nodes are started up on the available physical machines, added to the cluster, and then removed when the job is finished, without calling the administrator. Of course, in order to do that, we need to operate at a slightly higher level of abstraction by using Operations Manager. And in Operations Manager, here, you can see, for instance, the alerts that have been generated by the pro tips about CPU utilization. And since this is a live, real infrastructure, you also see a bunch of other alerts that are caused by these and other machines as well. In particular, I want to call your attention on this alert here, which I've written a monitor for. It's called HPCQ task. It's saying that there are 96 queue tasks at this point in time, so when the alert has been triggered. Of course, now there are 2 less, 94, because I've added a compute node there. So what does the alert say to me? It says that there are a lot of jobs, a lot of those stress tools.exe instances queued to be run. So I could really benefit from the addition of nodes to carry out this high-performance computing task. So how can I do that? How can I automate the whole process? What I've done is I've monitored the performance counter with Operations Manager, written this very simple monitor here that runs on the head node. And it looks at the number of queued tasks. I've specified 2 artificial thresholds at this point in time for the purpose of the demo, a low value of 4 and a high value of 8. So as soon as the value of 8 is passed, so there are more queued tasks than 8 registered in this monitor, an alert will be triggered. And that's the alert that you've seen before. I can also set up an automatic response to that alert, which in this case has been set up but is disabled so that I can actually show it to you. And the automatic response, it's a task called add node that runs when the alert receives the alert received as a critical status, and it runs PowerShell and passes that script that we've seen before as a parameter to be executed on the head node, which is exactly the same thing that we've seen before. So when I go and click here, run recovery automatically, when the alert is triggered, i.e. when I have more than 8 tasks in the queue, waiting in the queue, that particular node, VHPC node 3, will be automatically started, joined to the cluster, and used to allocate work. Now, I could also make the recovery task a little bit more sophisticated so that I can go and deploy new nodes on existing free physical hosts. That is a a little bit lengthier in terms of time. It requires a little bit more time than we have for the screencast, but it's perfectly possible. And if you look at my previous screencast, the 10 minutes with Virtual Machine Manager, I do show a script that deploys machines from a library. There is no reason why you couldn't just store a HPC node virtual machine in the library, deploy that, and join it to the cluster. In fact, I do have scripts that do that, and it would be just a matter of calling them here in the command line, passing them as a parameter. So with that, I hope that I've shown you that the fact that I know what is running, and with Operations Manager, I can monitor counters that are generated by the application, in this case, high-performance computing, helps me make the best use possible of the virtual and physical infrastructure that I have. Competitors can manage virtual machines as they see them as black boxes. So in this case, they would have been bouncing around this high-performance computing load trying to migrate virtual machines. Now, since I do have better knowledge thanks to Operations Manager, I can do the right thing, which is deploy more compute nodes on available physical hosts to carry out the workload and then stop those compute nodes and retrieve the CPU resources for another workload that may be running for other purposes. So thank you very much for your attention.